Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Dan Irvin.
Well, welcome to 5 Good Minutes podcast today as we begin a journey into Ecclesiastes chapter 10 this week. And today I just want to look at verses 1 through 4. And there's an image that the writer of Ecclesiastes starts with here in chapter 10. It says, as dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and humor. What's going on here? Wisdom is something that is precious, is valued, something we could all probably say we want more of. We want to make wise choices, but it's also fragile. One careless moment can undo a wise word. Even if you're not a sports fan, you've probably seen a post-game press conference or maybe even a news clip from a coach or a player, and they say something that becomes newsworthy. And what's remarkable about this newsworthy clip is that there was probably 9 minutes and 52 seconds out of a 10-minute press conference that was good, that was wisdom, that was well thought out and well said. But it's the 8-second soundbite that makes headlines, that makes the news, the folly, a rash word, a foolish decision, a lapse in judgment. It just doesn't take much to see how fragile wisdom can be. And this is what Ecclesiastes in these first few verses, I think, is reminding us of, that wisdom and foolishness, they affect every part of our lives. They shape really not only us, but the relationships we have, the people around us. So let's unpack this a little bit more. Have you ever had the experience in your life of foolishness outweighing maybe years of good choices? You work hard in your business or your family to build trust and cultivate relationship, and you make wise choices. But maybe there's one moment of unguarded foolishness, a quick temper, an impulsive decision that seemingly unravels years of hard work. In verse 2, it kind of deepens this idea. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left. It's an image of two very different paths. Wisdom leading to flourishing, choices that honor God, bring peace and foster life. And then on the other hand, folly that leads to destruction, decisions that erode trust and break relationships and leave behind regret. But here's the difficult truth, that even when we choose wisdom, it doesn't necessarily guarantee smooth sailing, that things will be going our way all the time. Verse 4 says, if a ruler's anger rises against you, do not leave your post. Calmness can lay great offenses to rest. Wisdom often has to endure opposition. Sometimes the world resists what is good, what is true, what is right. Jesus knew this. He was mocked, he was rejected, he was crushed, he was ultimately crucified on the cross. He knew that even as he made right choices, there was those that did not agree. So where does that leave us today, right now? If wisdom is so precious, something we all want, but it's fragile, how do we live wisely in a world where foolishness seems to be easily moved into? Well, here's the good news. Wisdom is not something we have to muster up on our own. I'll say that again. Wisdom is not something we have to muster up on our own. Jesus offers us his perfect wisdom. On the cross, he took the ultimate consequence of our folly, of our sin, of our foolishness. He put it on himself. Through his death, his resurrection, he forgives. But he also gives us his Holy Spirit, who leads us in wisdom. So I think that means the question isn't just, how do I avoid foolish decisions, but rather, how do I rely on Jesus on a daily basis, on the wisdom that he offers? Well, number one, I think we have to know where to look. Are you connected to Jesus in such a way that you recognize the foolishness of the world when you see it? Do you know what Jesus would do if he were in your shoes, living your life in your context, talking with your coworkers, your neighbors, your family members, your friends? Do you know Jesus well enough? Are you close enough in understanding of who he is, what he was like. When we walk with him on a daily basis, we're no longer depending on our own fragile ability to just make wise choices. Instead, our heart turns to the unshakable wisdom that God offers through Jesus. So here's the big takeaway. Wisdom, it matters. It shapes our lives, the lives of others, but it's fragile. Jesus offers us a way forward. While we might fail in wisdom, and we will, his perfect wisdom and grace redeem our error. Through him, we are not defined by our mistakes, but we're defined by his righteousness. The only way to live wisely is to know Jesus, who offers his perfect wisdom to us, not because we've earned it, but because he loves us. Will you trust him today? Will you know his wisdom?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.